Check Diddy. Close to your Diddy if you really want to. Get close to your Diddy. You trying to get close to your Diddy. Know how close you want to get to your Diddy. Your Diddy could just do that. Get to the police. Your Diddy, look. You went up with your Diddy. They did it too cold with the game.
What's up, New York Comic Con? I'm Will Wheaton, and I am actually coming to you from Los Angeles, California. I don't know if you're aware of it, but we can't exactly travel right now. So Ernie and I have gotten together over the magic of the internet to talk all about Ready Player One and to talk a little bit about Ready Player Two. So please, wherever you are, especially if you're in a public place, give a warm round of enthusiastic applause for my friend, my colleague, for the writer of Ready Player One, Ready Player Two, and Armada, Mr. Ernie Klein.
Thank you. Thank you. And for what we...
Ernie Klein, it is a heckin' delight to see you. You look terrific. Your DeLorean looks amazing. I think it's really fair and really accurate to say that Ready Player Two is probably one of the most anticipated sequels, absolutely of the last decade, certainly of this year. The book comes out November 24th in the US and the UK, and then you are being published, you know this, you're being published in over 50 countries. Talk about what it means to be the author of something that is known around our entire planet.
You know, when I dedicate the book to my family members, we like going through the foreign editions to see how our names have been translated into other languages. It's hard to process, and you know, especially when you're in quarantine. You know, when I think about all the trips and experiences I got to have as a result of this book, I'm just incredibly grateful because I'm sure you're this way too. I've been drawing on them all year, you know, kind of living in my memories and thinking about all the experiences I got to have as a result of this book. I got to go to Finland and Norway and Italy and meet people who enjoyed my book in languages I can't even, you know, speak or read. It's really, really gratifying, and it's I feel like the lesson I learned is if you kind of build a bonfire to the things that you love and celebrate, you know, all the things that you love, then it ends up drawing other people who love those same things to you, and it has ended up connecting me to people who inspired me to write the story to begin with.
So we're recording this for New York Comic Con. Normally we would be sitting on a stage together, we would be having this conversation in front of a room filled with people. The good news is we get to reach more people this way than we would be able to reach in person. So let's go back to Comic-Con when you were standing on stage in Hall H with Steven Spielberg.
When I read Ready Player One, when I read Ernie's book, it was like the most amazing flash forward and flash back at the same time to a decade that I was very involved in, the 1980s, but to a flash forward about a future that I think is out there awaiting all of us, whether we like it or not.
I have never really had an opportunity to talk with you about what it was like for you to be on the set, what it felt like for you to watch that film adaptation of your work come together.
It was the best kind of creative experience, collaborative creative experience I've had in my whole life. The best you can hope for is that it captures the spirit.
Going across town, and he would just tell savageness, just rip every single one of them for about an hour, and it was funnier than any comedian that I knew. It was really funnier than anything, much funnier than I ever was about the same people. But it was fun. You would keep it in for the whole year and then let it go. So this is not that.
No, this is not that. Actually, it's your next book, because you were the only person I did that with. You were a great listener.
Well, we hated the same people. we disagreed about something, but we hated like brothers, like Knights Templar. We were so hateful of it. It was great. Okay, so you wrote this thing on a what? You wrote it longhand, and then you people were helping you, but then did you ever get what I want to know about what the sensation was when you actually put pen to paper or pencil to paper or your fingers on it?
So it's not.
What happened to you then? That's what I found most interesting about writing.
Not dissimilar to what you used to do when you'd call me and say you wanted people on the set, which I thought was an amazing idea, because when you're doing comedy and you didn't have people to play to, it was vacuous. It was like playing an open air theater. So you'd call and you'd want to have people on the set, and I never really understood it really well. I thought that it made some sense that you'd want an audience beyond the crew. And then when I was doing this, it was really important to be able to talk to somebody, because you have to get feedback and you need people to pull things out of you. And I remember when you did Ghostbusters and Stripes, you wanted to have people out.
Well, Tootsie was the one. Let's talk about Tootsie a little bit.
Tootsie was... Well, let's first tell the audience that when the script of Tootsie was done, there was no role for Bill's character. It didn't exist. And we talked a lot about it, and Bill liked the idea, I think, of working with Dustin and Sidney. And remember when we went over there that time?
See, that's another one. I'm going to get the story straight for you now, okay? So he tells the story completely wrong in the book, and when you get to it, I want you to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to stand for this. But that was a case of, Mike was really good at what they do in his business is they get a piece of everyone in the movie. If they can get all their people in the movie, they get everyone in it. Then every time everyone gets paid, he gets paid. It's great. We should all have such a job. It's like Amway, but better. But better. Who's got? We're not talking Amway money over here, okay, folks. But that was an interesting case, and since we're talking about Dustin Hoffman, I just want to say Dustin Hoffman is a great man. and a really good guy. And I heard what happened to him. And Dustin Hoffman is a really decent person. He's a crazy, it's like a Borscht Belt flirt. He has been his whole life, but he is a really sweet man.
Why don't we talk about when we went to meet them?
So this is a good story. So he sets this up. It was an example of it. So it's Dustin, no one even remembers I'm in the movie. It's Dustin Hoffman's in the movie, and Sidney Pollack is the director. There's a man named Frank Price who's the head of the Columbia Studios, and his wife is having a birthday in New York. Why they're in New York, I don't know. But somehow Mike figures out to get me invited to this party. Now, I kind of know Frank Price because I made a movie over there. I don't really know his wife. I don't know Dustin. I don't know Sydney. I don't know Lisa, Dustin's wife. I don't know Claire. I don't know any of these people, but I'm there. But given a bunch of Hollywood guys in an Italian restaurant in New York, I come off the funniest. It wasn't that hard, okay? And my wife Mickey was there. So, and we're looking at each other going, what are we doing here? You know, I don't know. So it turned out that Dustin and Sydney had this funny relationship where they would, am we boring you yet? Tell me when, I want to just, you hold them up slowly. Okay. They had this funny relationship where they would fight about everything. They just fought about everything. I don't know why. And they fought about everything. And so after the dinner, I actually know how to drive a car. So I gave Dustin and his wife a ride home. I said, you want to ride? What? You know, you have a car? You drive a car? So I drove him home, and the next day he calls up Sydney and says, I don't want Larry Luckenbill to play my roommate. I want Bill Murray to play my roommate. Dustin Hoffman had known me for like 4 hours, but it was an argument, a point to make an argument with Sidney, you know. So Mike acts like he didn't do this, but he did do this. There's no reason I was at this dinner. So it turns out that I end up getting the job, and then Mike says, come on, we're going to go over to CBS Studios on 57th Street. We're going to meet him. And Dustin, God bless him, he's the greatest. He threw a screaming fit that was hilarious, that went on for like 20 minutes, and you'll excuse my language, but he said, I ain't fucking Robert Redford! Which, when you yell that to because Sidney Pollack made about 9 movies with Robert Redford, you know. So, you know, they have pictures of each other, you know, but so he would that was just his go-to. Whenever he didn't have anything else to say, that's what he would say. And it was great because I'm sitting there and he's going over here to close the deal, and it's, you know, it's like soundproof glass, you know, and you see Dustin sees the veins in the neck, and he's standing up on stuff and he's slamming stuff down, and I'm looking at it and he's humiliated. Mike's totally embarrassed, and I'm going, and I know it's like 70% show business. I'm not worried at all about it. It's very, very funny. But it comes to the idea of getting with the people in the crowd, and they were fighting in the movies, already in the papers. I've talking too much. But when I got to the first day on the set, or the first day after ripping up the set, saying, who lives here, the son of Sam, they showed me this.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, this is in the book, but they say, okay, you can read the book, you can hear the story, you can get it over with. This book's on tape, okay, sort of.
No, Bill comes down to first of all, when we went to see Dustin and Sydney, we were in a director's booth. It had one entrance, one exit. And when we got in, Bill kind of looked at me like, what have you gotten me into here? And as we started to try to walk out backwards, Dustin very skillfully blocked the door, if you recall, and just kept going. So we got to watch this. It lasted quite some time.
It was amazing. It was really a movie, just the two of them going.
But I think the one of the best moments for me is when you came to the set of the apartment that you and Dustin shared. And the set was designed by Sidney Pollack's brother, Bernie Pollack.
No, not exactly. See, this is the storytelling again.
Wait a minute, I've got that wrong.
Sidney's brother was the costumer.
Yeah, I have it wrong. You're right. He was
the costumer.
You're right. I have it wrong. But Bernie was there, by the way.
Bernie was there.
He was there.
And they said, oh, you're going to shoot tomorrow morning, and here's your bedroom. It was in a loft apartment. And I walked into it. There was like a bed, and there was like a serape on the wall, you know, something like that. And maybe there was like a piece of celery in a glass or something. I don't know what. And I just said, who lives here? The son of Sam? This is insane. This is crazy. And I started throwing everything around and moving stuff around, and the crew all just went, oh, okay.
I was hooked by a second chance. Now I know it's not a routine game called romance. I was fooling around. We lie and we cheat, desire indeed. I know that it's really the state. I was fooling around.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Bill,
was the right thing to do, no matter where the body was found.
You're not going to have those nominations to announce next week.
Who said they'd all be vetted by the weekend?
I know, but there has to be a change in plans.
I don't understand.
The Pelican Brief.
What about the Pelican Brief? I thought that was ancient history.
We have reason to believe that Greg Grantham's gotten hold of it.
Matisse will sue the pants off them. They try to publish that.
Not if it's true.
You think it's true?
I know what Grantham's going to write. A man the president knew and took millions from paid money to have 2 Supreme Court justices knocked off so that his pal the president could appoint more reasonable men to the bench, so that his oil could be harvested. And if our friend Voiles leaks that you asked him to hold off investigating the brief, we could be into an obstruction charge.
Oh, gee.
Mr. President, there is a way to handle this.
Handle it how?
We appoint 2 nature lovers to the court. Good little environmentalists who would kill Matisse in his oil field, etc. Then you call Voiles into your office, and in the presence of the Attorney General, you demand an immediate investigation into Matisse. I'll leak copies of the brief to every reporter in town, and then we hunker down and ride out the storm.
But there has to be some way to keep this information from coming out.
I'm working on it.
What? How?
Mr. President, you don't want to know.
Beautiful service, really.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Bill. I'll have an announcement after the weekend. Well, it was the right thing to do, no matter where the body was found.
You're not going to have those nominations to announce next week.
Who said they'd all be vetted by the weekend?
I know, but there has to be a change in plans.
I don't understand.
The Pelican Brief.
What about the Pelican Brief? I thought that was ancient history.
We have reason to believe that Greg Grantham's gotten hold of it.
Matisse will sue the pants off them. They try to publish that.
Not if it's true.
You think it's true?
I know what Grantham's going to write. A man the president knew and took millions from paid money to have 2 Supreme Court justices knocked off so that his pal the president could appoint more reasonable men to the bench, so that his oil could be harvested. And if our friend Voiles leaks that you asked him to hold off investigating the brief, we could be into an obstruction charge.
Oh, gee.
Mr. President, there is a way to handle this.
Handle it how?
We appoint 2 nature lovers to the court. Good little environmentalists who would kill Matisse in his oil field, etc. Then you call Voiles into your office, and in the presence of the Attorney General, you demand an immediate investigation into Matisse. I'll leak copies of the brief to every reporter in town, and then we hunker down and ride out the storm.
But there has to be some way to keep this information from coming out.
I'm working on it.
What? How?
Mr. President, you don't want to know.
leave it at my computer that said answer yes or no, because he said, if you want, when I ask you, a question, I'll come up and when I ask you a question, I'll come up and I'll remind you, remember, I want a yes or no. And I said, that would be humiliating. So I work often with men.
Wow.
I often work with men.
Wow. And you didn't slash his tires? Or him? Right.
There's a level of, because when you're working with men, there is a level, can you act like a big girl or not? Can you play with the big boys or do you have to go home? Because if I don't act like a big boy, I get sent home. I don't get the next job.
Here's the problem that I have with that. A decent man never would have done that.
I agree.
So that's a man acting like a child. So I'd be like, well, you know what? Tell you what, when you can come and talk to me like an adult,
I agree.
We can have a conversation because I don't talk to children that way.
I had a huge problem. We stopped talking for a while, although I kept working. You know, you can't drop your ethics and your work mentality. But I had to finish the show. You know, in order to continue at the studio, I had to finish the show. I don't ever want to work with him again. And I said, you're asking me to change my personality. I am not a man. I am a woman, and I'm proud of it. And so my form of communication differs from you, but I will try, as he's my superior, I will try to meet your standards, but I won't be successful 100% because I am a girl. And my bias is female communication. And so...
And I'm sorry, but...
It's not even a bias, it's inherent.
Right, who made your
it's
standards
just different.
the standards?
Yeah.
This is
but I will say, but I also then had a female producer who called me on the phone, and she was from another studio, and she said she liked my work.
Are going through, and the reality is one of the reasons we are upsetting people is we are so successful here in Fulton County. I have the third largest crime drop in America. We have it because we're taking a balanced approach, both unapologetically going after gangs and violent criminals and anyone who should violate the law in my county, but we're also doing programs, and so it has been a huge sacrifice, but it's well worth it for my community.
We spoke, you did an interview with me earlier in your tenure, and we talked about what it was like to become a national lightning rod and to attract not just all the attention that a district attorney in a big place like Fulton County is always going to get locally for all of the important issues that affect the people of Fulton County, but to become a household name around the country, including by people who decided they were going to make your life hell for having brought one particularly very high-profile case. Do you feel like you've changed over the course of this term in office, over the course of this 4 years, in terms of having to develop new skills, new resources, develop a thicker skin than you might not have expected when you took this case when you ascended to office January 1st, 2020?
She liked my work, and she knew She liked my work, and she knew I'm still an assistant editor. We finally have a decision in the Epic versus Apple trial. Let's break it down. And she said to me, he said to me, I want to tell you. He said to me, I want to tell you something. You're more valuable than you think. And I go, what do you mean? And she said, when I interview girls, they often take the first offer I offer them. What they don't know is that I have 2 offers hidden under the paperwork that I can negotiate up toward, but I have to give them my lowest. And she said, 95% of the time the women come in and they say, thank you, I'm so grateful for the job. And the men come in and they negotiate hard for the higher pay. Now, she said, it's quite often the case that the women that I'm interviewing, I want more, they're more valuable to me. But she said, I want to throttle them and I want to tell them, you are.
That's what is bad. And so we try to put the user in the driver's seat there to own their data.
Okay, right here.
Hi, how's everybody doing? First things first, I'm glad to actually see you guys in person.
Consequences without intentionality or just lack of caring about the consequences.
Behind a partner we know to be true but imperfect. So that is why
you are worth more than I'm offering. Don't
right.
You are worth more than I'm offering. Don't
right.
don't take that first offer. Mm-hmm. Who is teaching you this? Why aren't you more aggressive in the workplace? But she says we always get the women for less money.
Yep. Because women are afraid to lose.
They're afraid to lose.
Yeah. And then you start lower and then you stay lower because that's where you start and then...
Yeah, but on the flip side of that, I'd say you're constantly negotiating the point to be aggressive to get your point across, but also be understanding and nurturing and kind in the way women are sort of expected to be in order to make a connection. Because oftentimes, if we are to act like a man and be more aggressive, we are then automatically put in the, oh, that's a bitch. I don't want to.
Yes.
I don't.
You're penalized for it. Once you start acting like a man, you're penalized for acting like a man.
I don't want to work with her. And
especially
you
if
might,
you're a black woman.
Oh yes, and you might be more qualified, but suddenly then the other person not just takes offense, but then they become insecure about themselves. Like, ooh, this is not a place where I expected to receive this person, and so then therefore I'm going to cut them loose before you even had a chance.
I think one of the things, though, that Christine mentioned a minute ago that is still, because it is still true in so many, whether it's different segments of the business, that the male default, the male bias of communication, all of that is still so in place, even though, and I'm sure we'll get back to this in a bunch of ways, even though there are women in high positions all over the industry, there's still just a default toward communication that is male-centered. It's still a male-centric way of conducting business. So there's there's that constant battle to fight, even on a subconscious level with how women just communicate differently. So that's the thing. It's like, so you can, we're choosing our battles just moment to moment, day to day. So yeah, you can tell your superior, you can tell your boss, you're acting like a child and I'm not going to communicate with you, but how much do you want your job? So there's always those, always those battles to choose. And that's what's, I think, interesting about navigating where we are right now. I think about that a lot.
What I feel is ironic is I've been complimented about how I don't bring emotion to the table in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
Reverend, it's a beautiful service for everybody.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Bill.
I'll have an announcement after the weekend.
Well, it was the right thing to do, no matter where the body was found. You're not going to have those nominations to announce next week. You said they'd all be vetted by the weekend. I know, but there has to be a change in plans. I don't understand. The Pelican Brief. What about the Pelican Brief? I thought that was ancient history. We have reason to believe that Greg Grantham's gotten hold of it. Matisse will sue the pants off them. They try to publish that. Not if it's true. You think it's true? I know what Grantham's gonna write. A man the president knew and took millions from paid money to have 2 Supreme Court justices knocked off so that his pal the president could appoint more reasonable men to the bench, so that his oil could be harvested. And if our friend Voiles leaks that you asked him to hold off investigating the brief, we could be into an obstruction charge. Oh, gee. Mr. President, there is a way to handle this. Handle it how? We appoint 2 nature lovers to the court. Good little environmentalists who would kill Matisse in his oil field, etc. Then you call Voiles into your office, and in the presence of the Attorney General, you demand an immediate investigation into Matisse. Ali copies the brief to every reporter in town, and then we hunker down and ride out the storm. But there has to be some way to keep this information from coming out. I'm working on it. What? How? Mr. President, you don't want to know.
Companies, because when we approach these founders who are building these really unique, already scaled businesses, they view us very similar to them. And then the fact that we get those incredible lessons from all the names that you mentioned, we can actually take those back to the things that we're building and the things that we're investing in at the early stages.
Place. Mm-hmm. And when that was when that was when I was in my early 20s, and I was just being myself. I wasn't actually trying to be like a man. But when I heard that compliment more than once, I realized that that's what some men want. They don't want women to be themselves and to share their thoughts and concerns and to be nurturing and caring. And I find that to be really unfortunate, because I also think that's what's wrong with the world. It's not just an entertainment-related issue. It's a world issue. And if we were more caring about each other and the people who worked with us, then the world would be a better place.
to invest in later stage companies, because when we approach these founders who are building these really unique, already scaled businesses, they view us very similar to them. And then the fact that we get those incredible lessons from all the names that you mentioned, we can actually take those back to the things that we're building and the things that we're investing in at the early stages.
So it's hard to appreciate that now when so many firms are stage agnostic and sector agnostic. I'm just curious, at the time you had this conversation with an investor who's now an LP in your firm, what did that person say? Were they skeptical? Did they support you?
Yeah, I think, we feel very grateful to have incredible partners at Thrive, and we feel really fortunate to work for incredible institutions that do a ton of good in the world. Not-for-profits, university endowments, foundations, hospital systems. But when we started, many of them didn't really understand our strategy, but we had always believed that building something that worked in a flywheel that actually enabled us to kind of get these insights, get these lessons, to really ultimately be the most meaningful partner to our founders was what we wanted to accomplish. And we figured it would enable us to scale and do the exact same thing. So we are doing the exact same thing with our $3 billion fund as we were doing with our first $40 million fund, and that's something that we're proud of.
And I think the industry also was evolving, that allowed an opportunity for a new type of venture technology investment firm to be built. I think venture a long time ago was kind of viewed as a cottage industry. Maybe you were backing science projects. The life of a company was 3 to 4 years. You were maybe trying to sell to Cisco. You were trying to just get through this one milestone. And now we're seeing that technology is not just a niche asset class. It is this transformation across every industry. And it's growing from just trying to build companies for a couple of years to transforming industries over 10 years, sometimes decades. And when you kind of take that lens, this idea of just focusing on seed or just focusing on finance or healthcare or infrastructure misses the picture of kind of what's happening behind these trends. And then you have these founders who want to build much more ambitious companies, and they don't want to have
A fella told me this here road leads to Cairo. I got to get me
You know, we got Cairo in the building. Shit, you know. I just got a couple of questions for you.
I feel so much better getting out.
What do you think?
Who's this right
Nigga,
here?
you know I'm recording. No! You gonna get in the camera recording him. That's the Monte right there. You know what I mean? She's blocking her face. Alright, but anyways, you know, so what do you think about these these little rappers that are coming out like with dances and shit? Like
that's coming out with what dances?
Like like that Soulja Boy and BIC shit. Like what you think about that, man? Like honestly.
They just choreograph rap. It's not hip hop, it's rap.
It's rap?
Yeah, it's rap.
What do you feel the difference is?
The difference between rap and hip hop is rap is an occupation, rap is a hobby, rap is a job, hip hop is a culture. Hip hop, you can't really grab hip hop. You can't see. It's just something that's is there.
Yeah.
It's a way of life.
For sure.
I grew up in hip hop since I was born. That's all I've known. So it's like it's a way of life. It's a lifestyle, and basically, man, hip hop it's a culture, and it's getting bigger by the day.
For sure.
But we got phonies and impersonators, which are the rappers and these choreographed people, clowns of hip hop. That's what I like to call them.
I can dig it. So who do you think is the illest upcoming artist right now?
Illest upcoming? You already know.
It's that nigga Tyrese.
You already know.
It's Tyrese.
A-Rab.
It's A-Rab.
A-Rab. Soulja Boy.
Are you freaking kidding me?
I'm just playing. No disrespect, A-Rab. You're not that nigga. Tyrese and Tyrese pretty much. Like that I personally know. That's my boy Tyrese. Hot shit. Other people that I music that I really, really respect. We got Diz Gabron, respect it. I like Pac Div. Niggas is dope.
I love you, man.
Don Kennedy, dope. Upcoming, we got who else we got? Oh boy, I don't know if I'm saying it right. Fashion, dope. Producers, of course, myself. I'm gonna say myself. I mean, people ain't gonna say themselves. Chicago. That nigga Moonshine. The business. And other people, but you know, I'm not gonna try to name too many, but that's that just for right now. That's that.
Alright, for sure. I can dig it. Yeah, I mean, so what can we look forward to? You know, what's Cairo about to be putting out? What do people need to pay attention?
I was working on a beat supplier, but put it on hold for a little bit.
Are you done? Hold on.
Baby's gonna take baths, but I'm gonna put it on hold because let the artists, you know, take their time on the track. Some of them, you know, they taking their time, so I'm gonna just let them. So I'm coming out with something different. It's gonna be more of a concept type album. I'm only have a couple artists on it, ones that I picked that I think is good enough to be on it. I don't really have a title for it yet, but I know I got the beats ready, so I'm working on something. And look out for the popular Stranger Tice's street album coming out, produced mainly by me in Chicago. You know, y'all better look out for that. Down and go cop that.
Hold on.
Word.
You gonna get mad at me, but this is for SoCal, Marco V, and Jay. I just realized that Cairo's that nigga, and because he just got a text message on my phone. What does it say? Let's see if I can get this to focus right. Shit, nigga, ain't no high definition in this motherfucker. Basically, what it says is all I have to say is he's a cutie. LOL. Oh, homie. And see what happened is, you know, somebody just left. That person ain't gonna be said or named, but I was texted and notified that he is a cutie. So, hella, he's that nigga.
Extra,
he's that nigga.
Up around the neck t-shirt.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He got the little choke medium shirt.
Yeah.
And shit, but
you all have grip.
what you gotta say about being that nigga, you know what I mean?
I'm not that nigga.
So anything you gotta say to Marco V and Jay and SoCal, you know what I mean? You know, by the way, you know, if y'all know, you know, welcome to Cairo in the L7. For y'all that don't know already, you know what I mean? He's officially fam, you know what I mean? So, you know, how we do. But you got anything to say to, you know, SoCal got the most tally marks. And Jay just, you know, did his business this weekend. So
yeah, so basically Jay, Marco, and SoCal.
I know I beat them already.
What do I say about them three guys? Okay, we got two green eye bandits. Green eyes pretty much kaput any girl because they, you know, green eyes. You know, I got the regular nigga eyes, them black eyes. I got them regular eyes.
You know, Jay got them curls.
He got the curls for the girls.
You know,
they all extra light skin. I'm dark. I'm not dark, but I'm darker than them. SoCal got waves for days.
Yep.
Marco got the extra hairline. Popping off is like purple, like Marcus Houston.
Hella clean.
I'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'm not the nigga. I'm just look at me. I'm not. Look.
Look at me all.
No, you see the hair on the side of my face? I'm like a baby. Swiss Beats, Jim Jones, and Freeway.
Wow.
Come on, stop it. Cut.
Hey, I mean, little Miss football player, ma'am, down there.
You're not in the camera right now.
You're not at all. Basically,
I don't care.
One more thing I gotta address is I gotta say one more thing. Okay. To everybody out there,
come on, there. What is you over here getting ADD?
Everybody out there, the first Blitz game was the best. I don't care what anyone say. Huh?
What's Blitz?
That's a video game, nigga. I did. Let's wrap it up. Alright, man. Hella finger. You that nigga.
It's a football.
Goodbye. Any shout outs?
Oh, yeah. Shout outs for days.
You gotta shout out me.
I'm shout out. Okay, shout out. First off, shout outs to Xtine right there. You know, shout outs.
I mean, I can't record her. She'll get mad.
She gonna see everybody. Shout outs to the person that started Black Planet. Shout outs to the dude that got shot in Hardball. Shout outs to Ricky Smiley. Shout outs to Eve Jeepers. I got to throw a full name out there. Shout outs to shout outs to the Frat Watch. Y'all did your thing. Like,
oh yeah, man, that was a
shout outs to the voice of Kermit the Frog. Shout outs to the man that made puzzles. Shout outs to Dr. Scholes. That's my dude. I know him personally. Shout outs to that's my doctor. Shout outs to the person that made the blueprint for the construction of Applebee's buildings. Shout outs to Cox Communications. Shout outs to the fax machine. Shout outs to stupid. Shout outs to Lisa and who the fuck is that? Is that the Holocaust shit? And Ricky White, shout outs to her. Shout outs to AT&T. Shout outs to Beckett's, the look up your cars and get the price. Shout outs to
Is that me? Hey, I hear Carol's music. This is what I do. This is a trash. I can do that.
Oh, we here, we done.
I for sure. You know what I mean? And you know what? And shout out to my grandma's cornbread. I hella killed that shit. Alright then. Then you that nigga? So I don't have big fun. No.
Bright like a highlighter. They taking pictures cause I'm fly like a skydiver. ain't seen money, until you seen me. 220 for the family GTC. The money ain't a thing like Jay Dupree. When you ball around the country like the major league. So peace up, hey town down, till your streets up with them AK rounds. What you know about that? I know all about that. 3 birds, 3 nights can make 100,000 stabs. Wait, nigga, and then they got it on the camera. The fans is watching since your boy told Atlanta. Small still to ever hit the pop shots. I'm an easy target, they know a nigga rock hard. Clean check cut, slip it into my account. Write a money China, write a little gun, I wipe them out. I ain't with the rapping, boy, I'm putting in the work. Hit his ass with the rapping, lay his ass in the shirt. Information for you informants, I got the game, I got the same. Cheaper than yesterday, so what you say? So what you say? They snapping while we trapping, trying to find out what happened. They wanna lock me up before my album go platinum. I took my cell phone and do it. My bank account I blew it. Gotta cut my conversations. I don't wanna do it, but who's that? Even if I went though, it ain't no love. They tired of telling on their kinfolk. So if you ever been broke and turned a pen into a 20, then let me hear you holler if you want me come get me. Brother, you know me as T.I. or you call me T.I.P. or APD and the FBI. They talk about the GIP. I'm sure they know when I be high. When I'm in the VIP, I'm sure they see me as I fly through the city in a brand new VIP. Young rich and fame or would have pimps. You call me G.I.P. but I'm the greatest in Atlanta. They be calling me Ali. I told you, I can't be stopped. You want me to stop for the camera? DJ Trouble.
Good morning and welcome to the White House. Today we take an essential step in defeating terrorism while protecting the constitutional rights of all Americans. With my signature, this law will give intelligence and law enforcement officials important new tools to fight a present danger. I commend the House and Senate for the hard work they put into this legislation. Members of Congress and their staffs spent long nights and weekends to get this important bill to my desk. I appreciate their efforts and bipartisanship in passing this new law. I want to thank the Vice President and his staff for working hard to make sure this law was passed. I want to thank the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Treasury for being here, both of whom lead important parts of our war against terrorism. I want to thank Attorney General John Ashcroft for spending a lot of time on the Hill to make the case for a balanced piece of legislation. I want to thank the Director of the FBI and the Director of the CIA for waging an incredibly important part on the two-front war, one overseas and a front here at home. I want to thank Governor Tom Ridge for his leadership. I want to thank the members of Congress who are here on the stage, the leaders on this impressive effort Senator Hatch and Senator Leahy and Senator Sarbanes and Senator Graham and Senator Reid. I also want to thank Representative Porter Goss, LaFalce, Oxley, and Sensenbrunner for their hard work. And I want to welcome the men and women of law enforcement who are here in the White House with us today as well. The changes effective today will help counter a threat like no other our nation has ever faced. We've seen the enemy in the murder of thousands of innocent, unsuspecting people. They recognize no barrier of morality. They have no conscience. The terrorists cannot be reasoned with. Witness the recent anthrax attacks through our postal service. Our country is grateful for the courage the Postal Service has shown during these difficult times. We mourn the loss of the lives of Thomas Morris and Joseph Cursine, postal workers who died in the line of duty, and our prayers go to their loved ones. I want to assure postal workers that our government is testing more than 200 postal facilities along the entire eastern corridor that may have been impacted, and we will move quickly to treat and protect workers where positive exposures are found. But one thing is for certain: these terrorists must be pursued, they must be defeated, and they must be brought to justice. And that is the purpose of this legislation. Since the 11th of September, the men and women of our intelligence and law enforcement agencies have been relentless in their response to new and sudden challenges. We have seen the horrors terrorists can inflict. We may never know what horrors our country was spared by the diligent and determined work of our police forces, the FBI, ATF agents, federal marshals, custom officers, Secret Service, intelligence professionals, and local law enforcement officials. Under the most trying conditions, they are serving this country with excellence and often with bravery. They deserve our full support and every means of help that we can provide. We're dealing with terrorists who operate by highly sophisticated methods and technologies, some of which were not even available when our existing laws were written. The bill before me takes account of the new realities and dangers posed by modern terrorists. It will help law enforcement to identify, to dismantle, to disrupt, and to punish terrorists before they strike. For example, this legislation gives law enforcement officials better tools to put an end to financial counterfeiting, smuggling, and money laundering. Secondly, it gives intelligence operations and criminal investigations the chance to operate not on separate tracks, but to share vital information so necessary to disrupt a terrorist attack before it occurs. As of today, we're changing the laws governing information sharing. And as importantly, we're changing the culture of our various agencies that fight terrorism. Countering and investigating terrorist activity is the #1 priority for both law enforcement and intelligence agencies. Surveillance of communications is another essential tool to pursue and stop terrorists. Existing law was written in the era of rotary telephones. This new law that I signed today will allow surveillance of all communications used by terrorists, including emails, the internet, and cell phones. As of today, we'll be able to better meet the technological challenges posed by this proliferation of communications technology. Investigations are often slowed by a limit on the reach of federal search warrants. Law enforcement agencies have to get a new warrant for each new district they investigate, even when they're after the same suspect. Under this new law, warrants are valid across all districts and across all states. And finally, the new legislation greatly enhances the penalties that will fall on terrorists or anyone who helps them. Current statutes deal more severely with drug traffickers than with terrorists. That changes today. We are enacting new and harsh penalties for possession of biological weapons. We're making it easier to seize the assets of groups and individuals involved in terrorism. The government will have wider latitude in deporting known terrorists and their supporters. The statute of limitations on terrorist acts will be lengthened, as will prison sentences for terrorists. This bill was carefully drafted and considered, led by the members of Congress on this stage and those seated in the audience. It was crafted with skill and care, determination, and a spirit of bipartisanship for which the entire nation is grateful. This bill met with overwhelming agreement in Congress because it upholds and respects the civil liberties guaranteed by our Constitution. This legislation is essential not only to pursuing and punishing terrorists, but also preventing more atrocities in the hands of the evil ones. This government will enforce this law with all the urgency of a nation at war. The elected branches of our government and both political parties are united in our resolve to find and stop and punish those who would do harm to the American people. It is now my honor to sign into law the USA PATRIOT Act of 2001. Thank you all very much.
There is no guidance in your kingdom. Your wicked walking out in love. There is no wisdom to your freedom. The richest man is Babylon. Oh, 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 oh. acres sleeps outside your doorway. Your prophets sleep to wander road. You fall asleep at night with worries. The silence mother Babylon. Your expectation, and in the air it lingers on. Beneath the freezing admiration, the weakest man of there is no hope left in your kingdom. Your servants have written all the songs. Nobody here remembers freedom. The richest man of Babylon is the final day. Babylon is the final call. We need the right to dance song. Since divided we stand, and together we fall. You never know that. You're not gonna catch me in a right block. We're not gonna find it on the dead track. No way.
When I ask you a question, I'll come up and I'll remind you, remember, I want a yes or no. And I said that would be humiliating. So I work often with men.
Wow.
I often work with men.
Wow. And you didn't slash his tires? Or him?
Right. There's a level of, because when you're working with men, there is a level, can you act like a big girl or not? Can you play with the big boys or do you have to go home? Because if I don't act like a big boy, I get sent home. I don't get the next job.
Here's the problem that I have with that. A decent man never would have done that.
I agree.
So that's a man like a child. So I'd be like, well, you know what? Tell you what, when you can come and talk to me like an adult,
I agree.
We can have a conversation because I don't talk to children that way.
I had a huge problem. We stopped talking for a while, although I kept working. You know, you can't drop your ethics and your work mentality. But I had to finish the show. You know, in order to continue at the studio, I had to finish the show. I don't ever want to work with him again. And I said, you're asking me to change my personality. I am not a man. I am a woman, and I'm proud of it. And so my form of communication differs from you, but I will try, as he's my superior, I will try to meet your standards, but I won't be successful 100% because I am a girl. And my bias is female communication. And so...
And I'm sorry, but
it's not even a bias, it's inherent.
Right, who made your
It's just
standards the
different.
standards?
Yeah.
This is
but I will say, but I also then...
Feel me inside you, baby. It's a rainy night in Connecticut, and this 40-year-old guy thinks he's going to cuddle in bed with a 13-year-old girl named Bailey. But in a few minutes, 40-year-old John Dupay will find out that this hookup has no happy ending. Dupay is the latest monster we've caught in our all-new investigative segment, Hansen vs. Predator. We're working with the Fairfield, Connecticut police and the online predator watchdog group, Tetrad Core. They post profiles on apps like Whisper using innocuous pictures of actual underage girls who are protecting their identities. Dupay contacts not one, but two of our decoys. One we'll call Brittany and the other Bailey, hoping to strike up a sexual relationship. This phone call will creep you out.
Hello. Hey, baby.
He appears to be so desperate, he would risk a long prison sentence for a night with a 13-year-old. The text messages he sends are even more disturbing. He calls the youngster Baby. Dupay likes to be called Boo.
Hey, Boo. I'm all fresh from the shower.
I wish I smell your body, baby. Baby, I think it's gonna be amazing for me and you when our bodies are touching and I'm inside you and we're kissing. OMG.
Online, Dupay uses fake names like John Santoro and Johnny Connecticut. He's a former mail carrier and says he worked as a package handler at UPS. He claims he's 30, but he's actually 40. He calls Bailey from his cell phone.
Hello.
Hey, Boo. Where are you?
I'm outside.
More than a dozen hidden cameras throughout the Sting House capture his every move. Our fence cam captures him going to the door with a bag of gifts. Our decoy is a 19-year-old theater student who could easily pass for 13. She takes him inside where our kitchen cam records the conversation and my confrontation.
What did you bring?
Presents.
What do you got? Show me.
Chips.
Nice. What kind is it? Thank you.
She asked for snacks, and he's more than happy to oblige. A bag of chips, a caramel-covered chocolate bar, and a giant bottle of iced tea.
It's so nice to finally see you. This is crazy.
Are you nervous?
Yeah, I'm really nervous.
Why?
I don't know, I've never done this. Have you?
No.
So what do you want to do?
A hug?
I don't know.
Hey, Boo. Hey. Seat right around that stool right there for me, please. No, right there. Please have a seat. Right there. Set the phone down, please. What is your plan here tonight?
Just hang out, watch football?
Hang out and watch football with whom?
With her.
Who's her?
With Bailey.
And do you know how old Bailey is?
She's 14.
14.
Mm-hmm.
She told you she's 13. Not that matters.
Mm-hmm.
How old are you?
30.
30. Dupay is lying. We both know he's really 40. And what he doesn't know is that I have all the transcripts of his sordid conversations with minors. But I'm curious to see if he'll cop to his intentions. And why would you at 30 think it would be okay to hang out with a 13-year-old girl home alone?
I mean, we just hit it off, friends.
You hit it off with a 13-year-old girl?
We were just talking.
Just talking. Well, now you're here. This is more than talk.
I know, but you just came to hang out. You know,
What, get a hug?
and watch football.
Watch football?
Yeah.
Who's playing tonight?
Steelers and the Ravens. I had no intentions with nothing.
No intentions of...
Nope.
So what do you do at UPS?
I was a package handler.
Package handler. You're not there anymore?
No.
What do you do now?
Nothing.
Besides go online and try to talk to young girls?
I don't try to talk to... I just try to find a girl to talk to and hang out, whatever.
And how many times have you done this with somebody who's 13, 14 years old?
Never.
Never talked to another girl who said she was 13?
No.
Well, who's Brittany?
Who's Brittany?
That was the other girl you were talking to.
What was this?
Within the last few weeks? So you say to Bailey on Whisper that you're 30, how old are you? She says 13. You say, you're not 13 in that pit? Yes, I'll be 14 next month. That's pretty clear. You remember that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do. This does not look very good for you, John. The chat, the appearance, the dark chocolate. Did you bring condoms with you? Not in your pockets?
Nope.
But you see how this looks?
Absolutely.
Why don't you just tell me what you were really up to?
Just to hang out, get to know her, you know?
Get to know her?
Yeah.
And if you were the parent of a 13-year-old girl, would you be comfortable with that?
It depends how if I'm a good person,
Yeah, but typically good people don't meet strangers online, talk about sex, and then go over to visit, and within 3 minutes ask for a hug.
All I did was just ask for a hello hug, that was it.
With a 13-year-old girl. Walked right in the house.
Well, she told me to come in.
Does that make it right? Knowing that she's 13.
Oh, I wouldn't have never just walked in, without talking to her, without getting her okay.
Now, you talked about spending the night here tonight. Yes or no?
It depended, if she had to wake up in the morning, if I was going to stay here.
Did she have to go to school?
She said she didn't have to go to school today. Tomorrow.
So you could just spend the night and hang out with a 13-year-old girl. That's cool.
Well, I didn't plan on it.
You talked about it?
I was going to leave after a football game.
Unless you spent the night.
No, I didn't plan on spending the night.
Well, you talked about having cannolis, little dinner.
Yeah.
Sounds like you were going to have a special little night with your 13-year-old date.
All I was doing was just coming here to watch the game.
You tried to solicit a 13-year-old girl online using graphic sexual language. What do you think should happen to you?
So I'm not like that and a bad guy.
The pickup line John Dupay used to seduce a 13-year-old girl will turn your stomach.
You tell her, I would love to be the first guy to make you blank if you wanted me to, and I wanted to. Feel me inside you, baby. Has that line ever worked for you before?
No.
Then why do you do that now?
There was no,
Well, what am I to make of this?
There was no intentions made by it.
That shows clear intent.
He obviously flunked Don Juan 101. Remember, this is the same guy who made that creepy phone call. He then tries a different and equally disgusting approach, bragging about his mad party skills.
And then you talk about that you and a bunch of people snuck into a mansion and partied for days. Where was that mansion?
That was a while ago.
How long ago?
Maybe 8-9 years ago.
Oh, so it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
How does this look? How does that look? John, you tell me, how does it look? If you were me, what would you think?
That I honestly made a mistake.
That you made a mistake? Well, that's true. And how would you define that mistake?
Not to talk to girls online.
Or try to come over and have sex with them.
I wasn't trying to come over and have sex with her.
John, let me read it again. What'd you mean by that? That sounds like sex to me.
I was just playing with her,
Just playing with her.
not playing with her, but, just seeing like where she was. You're like,
she was 13.
I mean, I'd never had sex with her. I mean, I didn't plan on coming here to have sex with her.
Tonight, because I walked in.
And I didn't plan on it.
You didn't plan on it? Come on, you talked about it.
Like, that wasn't my intentions. I talked to her all day today about just coming over, watching the game, and just hanging out.
Salads.
About what?
You talked about salads.
About like food and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, while we're watching the game.
This is a whole different kind of food here that you're talking about. So what do you think should happen to you, John? You're in a bit of a fix here.
I'm terribly sorry, sir.
Well, there's something you need to know, and that is I'm Chris Hansen. And this is an investigation called Hansen versus Predator.
The look on Dupé's face says it all.
Sir, if you want to leave, you should go out that door right there.
He knows what happens next.
Any weapons?
He's unarmed and put into the back of an unmarked police car. Our dash cam shows him being hauled off to police headquarters where he's booked, fingerprinted, and poses for a mugshot.
Just initial again and sign if you're willing to talk to us.
In the interrogation room, he cries as he signs away his right to remain silent. His forehead is wrinkled with worry as he's about to speak to detectives.
She's a little girl. Do you see that in the pictures? Do you see she's a little girl? Look. If she wanted to have sex tonight, would you have?
No, I swear on my little boy, I wasn't gonna have sex with her. I really wasn't.
Well, then help us understand this. You want her to feel you inside her. I mean, I know what that means to me.
I know, I shouldn't have said it like that.
Watch closely and you'll see a classic case of good cop, bad cop in action.
What would have stopped you if she was all over you?
I would have just told her I can't do it.
You told Chris Hansen you were gonna spend the night.
No, I was gonna get picked back up.
Tonight?
Yep.
By sitting here and bullshitting us, which we're not believing, obviously, that you're there to watch a football game is crap.
So you were lying in the text messages?
Huh?
Were you lying to her in the text messages then?
I wasn't gonna have sex with her. I don't even know why I said those things.
He said them in the text, and that evidence was so overwhelming, Dupé pleaded guilty to 3 felony counts. Attempted second-degree sexual assault, attempted risk of injury to a minor, and attempting to entice a minor in an obscene act. I was in the other room watching the monitor as John comes in, and we see this from time to time. The potential predator comes in and almost swoops in on the decoy, and it never fails to creep me out. At his court appearance, other defendants were taunting him. Apparently, even the most hardened criminals think he crossed the line. Maybe an indication of what he can expect in prison. His sentence, 8 years, suspended after serving 3. He also must register as a sex offender.
The chats, in many cases, very graphic. Were you surprised at how graphic these guys got?
Oh, tremendously surprised. Anybody who reads that and anybody who understands what's actually taking place and doesn't get sick to their stomach, I don't know. It is horrible dialogue that's occurring with children, and they know that they're children.
For now, Dupé is locked up. The streets of Connecticut are a little safer